Welcome to Fat Over 40. My name is Miles, and in this episode we've got a special guest. Mike is going to be giving us his top tips for fitness. Now, if you're new to my channel, please subscribe. There's a new film every single Friday, and if you like what you hear, please give us a thumbs up. But more importantly, comment down below. Let me know what you think. Now, I interviewed Mike, who's one of the coaches down at my gym, and he's going to impart his sort of top 3 tips for getting involved with a fitness journey and the 3 sort of main things that you need to know to get you started. So, with no more further ado, let's hand over to Mike to fill you in.
Okay, so Michael's top 3 tips for fitness. First tip is getting a coach is the first thing I would recommend to everyone. New or already in, I think it's so important that you get someone who is educated correctly and understands you as a person, what your goals are, and they know how to meet you where you're at, so you both get a win. So you know you're in a position where you can say, this is what I want, this is where I am, and this is where I want to go. And it's so important that you have that conversation with someone face to face if possible, so that they get an understanding of everything that you're trying to achieve, and then they can put in place the correct measures necessary for you to then move forward. You can't just be kind of hopping around between like these programs, and I saw this on a magazine and read this workout online, so this is going to be good for me. If you have a specific goal, there's a reason you've got that goal. It's probably some kind of deep connection with inside you, that you know there's an emotional attachment that you want to achieve this, and you have to learn to detach yourself from your previous experience to bring you where you are today, because you're trying to change that. And you need someone who's educated and can correctly influence you to give you the tools and the understanding and education necessary to put you in the right direction, and then educate you while you're doing that. Not just someone who says, okay, this is what you do, eat this, do that, and continue on forever, and then you never actually learn anything. You need to be able to eventually be able to do things on your own, and you need to have someone who meets you in the middle. Just taking something from a blog or a magazine it's not for you. You need stuff that's more individualised and something that's specific for you. So getting yourself a coach is going to take a bit of searching around. It's probably not going to be a part-time fitness instructor. It's going to be someone whose career and whose passion is actually trying to create the change relative to what you're trying to achieve. And that doesn't necessarily mean it's just someone who's passionate for fitness, but someone who's passionate in actually trying to help you get along with what you're trying to do, and not just someone who wants you for your business. It can be really difficult to understand the differences, but you just kind of have to do a bit of searching and not be afraid to ask people questions, and be afraid to put yourself out there and figure out where that right person is for you. So my fitness tip number 2 out of 3 is patience. Is that anything is going to take time, any change is going to take time, a lot more time than people obviously first ever can imagine. I remember first starting and thinking things are going to be pretty quick, because you read and you see so much. Someone did this in 4 weeks, did this in 8 weeks, and it lulls you into this false sense of security that it can be done safely and sustainably. It can't. It's going to take a lot more time than you can imagine, and understand there's nothing wrong with that. Quick fixes aren't good, and if you put into like a global scope of how long you want this change to be there for, it taking a lot longer than you think is not really a bad thing. Embrace it, embrace the journey of what you're about to do. You need to learn to love the journey and love the process of what you're trying to achieve, because if you don't, then you're just going to fall short. So you really need to kind of get that into your head, and also understanding things like time frames are so difficult to have You can't just say, oh, it's going to be done in 4 weeks, I'm going to lose this amount of weight in 10 weeks. You really don't know. We can have general principles and guidelines and understanding through educated guesswork and studies that show this about this person, but everyone's such a different individual, regardless of how similar we may seem. You cannot put these time frames on people. You just can't do it. You can't say, I'm going to get this much stronger in this amount of time, I'm going to lose this much weight in this amount of time, because we just don't actually know if that's possible, and it could be setting us up for failure, as opposed to just knowing I'm going to do my best to make progress. I'm going to control every single thing that I can possibly control within a good ratio that doesn't create too much stress for me, and it's going to allow me to progress again and again and again, and just embracing that and embracing the journey, like I said. A good idea that I like to do and I like to hand out to people is going through some kind of daily diary or daily review, and seeing how many things did you control that day that contributed towards your goal, so you're continuing on that journey, and how many things you did not, what would you change about the next day, and then realising the sum of that over periods of time from short, medium to long is what's going to take you towards that goal. If you're not constantly kind of assessing that, it can be really difficult to lose track of where you are and what you did or didn't actually control. It's very easy to forget these things, so write down a few of the minor and major details that you can. It can be a really good idea to keep you on track and keep you kind of consciously focused the entire time. That's number 2. Okay, I'm just going to talk and see what happens. If it works out, it does. If it's not, I'll do it again. So number 3, my fitness tip number 3 out of 3 is change will be hard. It will be so hard, and there'll be so many bumps in the road that you can't envision happening, and so many little things that seem insignificant in your decision making that are actually massive. They're monumental in regards to you getting to where you want to be. And a lot of the time this gets misinterpreted, I think. There's so much nowadays in the media, in magazines, about motivational speeches and videos and so many things that just, it's very difficult to relate to everyday people and what they're trying to achieve. And these little bursts of motivation and inspiration generally don't do us that good, because it's about the hard change is about doing things like regardless of how you feel, and it's about understanding that there's going to be often times where things don't go your way, and just recognizing just that exact sentence that change is going to be hard. It's not going to be easy, regardless of how small the goal seems, how unrealistic the goal seems. If you've set it, just set yourself and envision a path that is going to be more difficult than you can imagine. Try and think about how many things can set you back, that are going to set you back, how many things can get in your way today and try and stop you from achieving your goals, and know how that's going to affect your mindset when you have to make a conscious decision of, I'm late from work, there's so much traffic, I didn't sleep well, the kids kept me up, and then, my neighbour's dog was barking, I haven't got the right shorts on, I don't like the guy at the gym, my mate didn't turn up, I ran out of toothpaste. All of these things that are just not relative. They may affect you, but they're not relative to stopping you from what you're trying to achieve. And it's the global scope of all of these hundreds of thousands of decisions over days, weeks, months and years that create changes, not the justification within yourself to say, yeah, well, the baby did keep me up, and I have had a more stressful day than Pete, and Pete's doing it fine, and he's done it for years, so it doesn't really matter. Well, guess what? It does matter, and making those tiny decisions every single day is going to be hard, but you have to recognise that in yourself, because right now you haven't, which is why you are where you are and why you're trying to make a change. Because for the amount of time it's taken for you to get where you are, you've justified to yourself, it's okay I come home late, it's fine, I'll have a beer instead, I'll do this instead, whatever it is. You need to understand that those things need to change, and unless you change your mindset and believe in that, it's never going to happen. So change how you think about things, be more conscious, be more present, be aware, and it's going to be hard, and try and make it in your head harder than you think it's going to be, and make those decisions all the time, and you're going to get to where you want to go. I think that's it. That's everything. Cheers, man.
So there we go. 3 fantastic top tips from Mike about getting you started on your fitness journey. They were finding yourself a good coach. I mean, I suppose you would expect a coach to say find a good coach, but it's great advice having someone to sort of move through your journey with you, help you sort of make the right decisions early on, not get yourself into bad habits. It's very important. I found myself a good coach when I started, and she's been invaluable. So it's definitely a great tip. The second one, to be patient. You know, I'm 2.5 years into my weight loss journey. I'm still going. I don't have a lot of patience, but you do need patience on your weight loss journey. It took you a long time to put on the weight, right? So it's going to take a long time to take it off. And the last thing, change being hard. It is hard. Nothing in life really that's worth anything is going to come easy. So, dig in, stay at it for the long road, and I can assure you that it might be hard. Change is hard, but it's definitely worth it. Okay, so thank you, Mike, for your top tips. Mike is now in sunnier climes. He's in Australia. So good luck to you, Mike. I know you're going to be watching. I hope you're having a great time down under. Throw another shrimp on the barbie for us. Right, there we go. Now, in terms of next week's video, I'm looking forward to next week's video. I haven't filmed it yet, but it's going to be an ice cream review. I've managed to find dairy-free, gluten-free, sugar-free, everything free, just made from sort of organic ingredients. So I'm going to review a few flavours of that, and it's going to be probably one of the best videos I've ever made. Yeah, get to eat ice cream. It's all for research purposes though, right? I'm not going to be comparing it with Haagen-Dazs or anything because, where would I stop? But tune in next Friday for a video review on some special ice creams. Now, if you haven't seen my latest progress video, then click here. If you haven't seen my last workout video, then click here. And if you make one change this week, get involved with Mike's top tips for fitness so you don't die fat.